Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Cat LaCohie, also known as award-winning burlesque performer Vixen DeVille, is a Los Angeles-based British actress and speaker. Her unique training is designed for bodies of all ages, abilities, shapes, and sizes. To work with Cat is to break free of others' restrictive and damaging labels, and to instead rediscover and celebrate your inner badass, your inner goddess, your inner vixen. So without much further ado, it is my utmost pleasure to introduce you to Cat. Hi, Cat.
Hello. Oh my God. I haven't heard your sexy announcer voice before. It's beautiful.
I didn't have it until now because introducing you, I had to go drop an octave, apparently.
I was just recording an instructional video. My voice is like, and now you're going to do the thing and do the thing. I was like, oh God, people are just going to listen to this as an ASMR thing. They don't care how to dance or how to make a feather fan. They're like, just talk to me that voice.
All right. So now that we segued and brought the whole world into our special space.
Welcome.
I mean, I like it because this is real talk, right? It's real talk with Kat and Jenny. And so I don't know if you've heard the accent. Will you tell people kind of where you're from and how you ended up here in the States?
Absolutely. So I was born in a town called Newcastle in England. So that's very, very north. It's almost Scotland. In terms of its temperature, it's like Canada temperature. It's very, very cold. And then I moved to London when I was about 18 years old. And I lived there for about 12 years. And then when I got sick of London, I then moved out here where I'm now in Los Angeles in California. So yeah, my accent's gone through a lot of different changes. And it's funny because people will mention it, but it actually is quite a huge part of my journey, because growing up, I had a very well-spoken accent for Newcastle. Newcastle was a very regional accent, very distinctive. It had a lot of connotations with it. And so I got kind of bullied a lot growing up because like, why don't you speak proper, like blah, 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 blah. But like I was ever so well spoken, which gave me an air of, oh, I think I'm better than you. So I would play that down because I was taller than a lot of people and I had this well-spoken accent. And then going to London, it was like, oh, well, you're not from here, you're Northern. Oh, now I don't belong in London. And I moved over to America and now it's like, wait, where's your accent from? So it's been this kind of like not belonging thing. And when I talk about burlesque, and we'll get into it, there's an element of just owning who you are and not apologizing for who you are. And I feel like I've spent a lot of my life apologizing and trying to fit in. And especially my accent has been one of the main things. So it's funny that you pick up on that first.
And the irony, right, of this whole thing is we're in the US and even I'm enthralled by your accent. I don't care which version you do. I just think it's the coolest thing, right? And because I've studied voiceover, because that's one of the things you do. You're also an actress. And one of our things is to study the English accent has an actual language. There's an alphabet attached to it for those of us who are not native speakers of English accents. Right?
I was actually really relaxing to come out to LA because it wasn't in Newcastle and in England. It's very much like, what accent are you? Where are you from? All that kind of stuff. And I came out to America. It was like, oh, you're just generically British. You have a British accent. Great, dunsies. Don't have to explain myself ever again. Like, it's not that. Where are you from? Do I detect an accent? Because that's just like, oh, you're British. Gotcha.
You're British. And right. And so you mentioned that you're doing burlesque and you don't do it under the name Cat.
Yes, I do burlesque as my persona Vixen DeVille. So if you go Google Vixen DeVille, you'll see a lot more, you'll see me, but more sparkly,
Much more
basically.
sparkly.
Sparkly.
So, will you just share with us the necessity of having a persona versus performing as Cat? What
Yeah.
brought you to that development?
Yeah, absolutely. So in burlesque, I think the origin of it and the reason why I like it and have found it beneficial, I think, are two different things. So let's just say that there was the standard that when you perform burlesque, you have your burlesque name, kind of from a, I guess, a security point of view,
Mhm.
like, you know, everyone knowing who you are kind of thing, and all that fun stuff. But when I started burlesque and they're like, right, you need a burlesque name. Um, I approached it as an acting exercise because I had been an actor for so long, and I looked at this as, it's not me on stage, it's me playing the role of. And so I then went really far into it, not because anyone asked me to, but just because that's how my brain was working at the time, was that if I'm going to play this role, well, I need to create this character. And I'd come from a background of devising theater, theater creation, a lot of theater where you're not given the script, you actually like devise the theater with your theater group, and you create the story, create the characters. So I did a lot of my devising and theater techniques with burlesque in order to create, well, who is this character, what are her essences, what's her like behavior patterns, and then what's her name, because you get to name the character. And for me, that really enabled me to fully step into this world of burlesque where you are self-expressed, you're super confident, you're playful, you're interacting with the audience. And for me as Cat, I was every opposite element of that. I was super, super shy. I would hide in the corner. I would not raise my hand and speak. I did not want to like interact with strangers. And so in order to be like that on stage, I needed to be playing a different character because I wouldn't allow myself to do it. But if I'm Vixen DeVille, what would Vixen DeVille do? How would Vixen DeVille behave? So for me, it really opened up the ability to be a different version of myself. And then I taught to my students in that the ability to be a different version of myself allowed me to practice and explore different versions of myself, which would then filter off stage. And so now I've become a sort of amalgamated mixture of those two versions. I'm no longer the super shy, hide in the corner person. I'm not as bravado as I am on stage, but it's like I used to be this condensed version. Vixen DeVille's this version, and then off stage I'm kind of the daytime Barbie version.
I love that. I love that. I love that you remind people, right, that this persona is an aspect of you, and has, through this aspect of you, you give yourself permission to explore, and that comes back full circles to making you more complete as a person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it's that, because I talk about how it's not that Vixen DeVille is the mask, because we're not creating this character to hide behind. It's not totally removed from who I am. It's more, who would I be if I hadn't had the filters of society? So when I was born as a kid and you're jumping in puddles and you're screaming out loud and going, oh my God, there's a bus. Oh my God, I want ice cream. Oh, oh, I hate the thing. You're super fully expressed. And then parents and siblings and coworkers and society tell you that's not appropriate, be quiet, don't be seen, be not heard, and you shouldn't be saying those things, you shouldn't be behaving that way. And so we start to learn not to be super we go insular. So who would I have been if I hadn't been told all those things, which sometimes are not even true? We get told a lot of rubbish growing up, right? So it's just really the unfiltered version of myself. It's not a mask or a character or a pretend version. It's actually the more realistic, unfiltered version of me. And it's that idea of, okay, let me peel back the layers that I put on to survive in society. Now this is the raw, unfiltered version of me. Cool. Now that I know what that is, I can then be different versions of them for different reasons. I can find what Coca-Cola is, and now I can be Diet Coke with my parents, and I can be like Coca-Cola cherry for like me with my friends. I can know what that was, like the distilled version, and then have different flavors of it in different situations, kind of thing.
Right. I love that. I love that. I mean, it really hit it home for me because I'm not kidding you, my wonderful audience. I have had the privilege of taking class with Kat, and it was super mind blowing for Kat to say, when I do burlesque as Vixen DeVille, I get to take off the mask of Kat. That was like, whoa, you're right. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, right, to keep ourselves safe and secure, we have this persona we give to the world, even at home sometimes.
Yeah. 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 And it's, people really don't understand that I'm wearing a mask in to be outside and to survive. Like we do put on the blinkers sometimes, especially women, especially when you've learned that you can get negative connotations. Like you don't, if you get wolf whistled or catcalled, you don't want to make eye contact. You see someone homeless on the street, don't make eye contact. You know, I hear footsteps behind me in the street. Oh, don't turn around to look at them, because just keep walking on. And being like a young single woman in London and walking around using public transport, like you do just go, do read my book, don't look at the world. And so being in burlesque and having to make eye contact and having to connect with an audience and also give people the benefit of the doubt that we're all really good humans at heart, hopefully, I've now been able to, someone cat calls me, I go, yeah, I know, thanks, you too, see ya. And it's a nice reaction, and we just go about our day. I see a homeless person on the street and they go, hey, beautiful. I'm like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Good, yeah, see ya. I see someone behind, I hear footsteps behind me, I turn around and go, oh, hi, yeah, I see you, I know you're there, okay, good. And it's really given me the ability to be so much more confident and connected with my audience, which is the other people in the world. I can connect with strangers a lot better and be a lot more openly myself, rather than, I don't want to get fired, I don't want to get arrested, I don't want to get criticized, I don't want to get myself into bad trouble. And to just take those blinkers off and be like, whew, there's the world, how nice, you know?
Exactly. I love that. I love that because people often feel less safe being seen. And in reality, that's what keeps you safe, to be seen. Because for me, it's an inherent recognition. If you're seen, you're actually, your sovereignty is able to be recognized. Versus if you're not seen at all, you don't even have any sovereignty because you're not even acknowledged. And I love that. I love that you're grabbing that. And you had shared in your story when I was taking workshop with you this recently in the past, and you spoke about dance and its role it's played in your life. Would you please just share some aspects of how you were introduced to dance and its shift journey, and now how what it plays in your life? And those of you listening, you're missing amazing graphics of me doing some type of weird roly thing with my hands. I don't know what I'm doing. This is my version of dance right now.
Open your hands, like a little dancey dance. Yes, we'll do the little. Yeah, one of my first memories of dance class, and I probably blacked out other ones. I did want to go to dance class, like when I was a kid, 5 or 6 years old, and maybe it's because everyone else in school was like, there's always like all the kids are doing ballet, or all the kids are going to like Girl Guides or whatever it is. So I started going to a ballet class, and when I was a lot younger, I was a lot more overweight, or I felt overweight, or I was at least large. I was geeky and academic, and I wasn't really one of the popular kids. And so I went to this dance class, and I just remember one of my ballet teachers saying, "Ooh, you know what? If a giant was to eat one of you, he'd probably pick you first because you've got more meat on your bones, haven't you?" And I remember it so clearly. And looking back as an adult, I'm like, what was that about? What was they probably don't even remember saying it. And yet I heard, which is a huge thing about, we pick up so much of what people told us and told us we shouldn't do or we should do, and people don't even remember that they said it. It was just an off comment on that one day. They just happened to say it for who knows what reason. And so I really learned that I was the odd one out in that class, and that I didn't look like everybody else, and I wasn't as skinny as everyone else, and I couldn't do the splits as much as anybody else. And I really hated it, and I stopped going, and I really shied away from anything that was athletic because it would heighten your shortcomings. And I've not really said that before, but it's really, now I'm thinking about it, you know, if you're running with a bunch of other people and you're the slowest one, it's instantly obvious that you're the slowest one.
Yeah.
If you're throwing something and you're measuring how far you threw it, it's obvious who threw it the shortest, who wasn't good. In the creative world, it's like subjective, and it's, it's whatever, but I just hated that sort of thing about being sporty and being like, you are the best, you are the worst. And, it's just infinitely, there it is. So I had shied away from anything sporty or athletic or dance or anything, because dance, I could not remember the moves. But I found physical theater. I remember doing this audition at school for we're doing the Firebird, and there was the little what were they called? Like the little monsters, and then there was the Firebirds. And the monsters had to really use their body. And so I just loved being able to move around. And for people who aren't watching, I'm doing my arm movements. And I just loved, and I now know what that word is, feeling embodied, embodying my body, the character. And it was just so freeing to move around. So I found that I loved movement. I loved using my body, but in a more experimentative, whatever the word.
It's okay with your accent. You can say anything. It sounds like legit. Go ahead.
Experimental. There you go. That's how
there you go. I like the other versions. Go ahead.
Because you are your body moving in space.
Yeah.
And that's how your body moves. Rather than it being 5, 6, 7, 8 YMCA, it has to look exactly precise, and you're dancing with the group. Any movement dance, experimental dance, was so much more freeing and fun, because there wasn't a move. There wasn't like a regimented 5, 6, 7, 8 to hit. There was hitting notes and hitting a beat and hitting a crescendo, but that was feeling the music and being in tune with the music, rather than I am regimented to the beat. So that's how I got into acting and performing and theater storytelling and theater creation. And then, so I went to university, I had a theater company, I was doing all the fun theater creation, and I saw this breakdown for a burlesque show, and I did not know that's what it was, but I saw that it was costumes and dressing up, and I like this idea of being sexy, because I never felt that I was. And it said dancing. I was like, oh, it said singing. I was like, oh, I can't sing. I can't dance. I don't like my body. I'm not going to apply for this thing. And I saw the show because my friend ended up being in it. And I was like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. It wasn't chorus line dance girls. It wasn't stripper, seedy people. It was each performer performing this self-contained act and fully expressing and having fun and being truly themselves. And I was like, I want that. I can do this, and I want this. And I hadn't felt that so strongly in my body in a long, long time. This is what I want. I'm going to go get this. And so that's how I got into burlesque, is that I then got very drunk that night and talked to the producer. I was like, it needs to be in your show, please. And so I auditioned with an act that I'd created at university in devising, creating my own character. I'd also already sort of created this Vixen DeVille style character. I hadn't named her yet, but I had created this sort of gothic vampiress character that was super powerful and in control of people and super admired. And so I brought that into the audition room, did my connection with the audience, did my experimental movement, and got into this troupe. And so everything I then learned in burlesque was being part of that troupe, relying on my acting and character and theater creation, rather than I'm a dancer, I'm a singer. And so I learned then I could dance. I was able to follow along to the choreography. I was able to create my own choreography. And that's what I do love about burlesque, is that it is solo performance. So you're not, here's a choreography that someone else came up with. This is choreography that maybe my body can't do very well or doesn't respond to very well. You're never offbeat. You're never wrong, because it's your act and it's just you moving and telling a story and connecting with an audience. So yes, it's dance, but it's more just moving through the space.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Thank you for explaining that. In terms of one of the things that I love about dance itself, as many of my teachers talk about, because we're listening to more cultural music like Egyptian based belly dance music, right? That is very foreign to the Western ear. This syncopation, oftentimes one piece of music is very long and there might be laid orchestral scores on top of it, and in chords we're not even familiar with, in this completely different key that's not even familiar to our Western understanding. And so part of this exploration in traditional, they call it more rock key, in this dance form, our bodies are personifications of the music. So we're taught, the teachers I choose to learn from, to interpret the music and show the audience how to listen to the music. And I love, because it's really crisscrossy for me with your interpretation of burlesque, because I hear the music and I'd be like, do you hear the drums? All right, well, here are the strings coming in. And then more recently now is this understanding, Cat's going to move differently, then Jenny's going to move, then Lily is going to move. I'm just throwing names out. And then there's also male belly dancers, Azad Khan, who's based out in Turkey. Everyone has different ways of training and also flexibility. So you're going to individualize your movement. So like a hip circle is going to be different between the 5 people I named. And that's okay to be exploring of that. And I just love that, because you were starting to talk about, with you, burlesque is this individual person's telling of a story. Right. And so I really, because all of you will need to explore the offering that Cat's going to talk about. And I really just love your explanation of burlesque and the freeing aspects of it. I love that, because a lot of times, depending on where you are and what part of the world, right? Even in the States, East Coast, Midwest, West Coast have different origins of burlesque. I love the fact that your training had us exploring our own individual voices. What is the offering that you would love for them to play with in today's interview?
Absolutely. So I have a PDF called Revealing the Amazing You, because for me, burlesque is all about hiding and revealing. Yes, it's the tease. Some people think burlesque is purely, it's sexual, it's trying to be sexy. And I hate the trying to be sexy. You just be, just confidently be you, instantly sexy. There it is. So it's not about that. It's about hiding and revealing yourself. And so I was able to use burlesque to start really revealing who I was, but to first explore who I was, because you can't reveal who you really are until you know who you really are. So giving yourself permission, and you said in the class about having permission to I think you said permission to play, which is my full course that I teach, is called Permission to Play. So first of all, you have to explore, like, who am I? Let's find out, because maybe I've been told I'm something different to what I really am. Then once you've figured out what you are, you need to be able to retrain your brain saying, well, who I am is absolutely fine, because maybe I've learned that who I've really found out I am is actually something to be apologizing for, because my parents don't value it, or my friends don't value it. So figure out who you are, learn that it's absolutely fine to be that person. Then you can start revealing that amazing self in the world, whether that's starting in a smaller space and then expanding into the larger space. And so doing those steps for a burlesque act, I was able to then apply those steps to my real life. So this PDF takes you through all those different steps so that you can start really showing up in your life as confidently as I do on the burlesque stage. And then if you want to take it a step further, there is also the ability to join my 90-minute workshop online, which is called Unleash Your Inner Vixen, because I am unleashing my inner vixen, and you all have an inner vixen, whatever they're called. They're named something else, but she's in there. So in this 90 minutes, you will be able to take the time to explore who your inner vixen is and let them out to play, and see whether you want them to come out to play even longer after we've finished the class.
Yeah. So you really do want to take advantage of this. I'm going to ask my assistants to flash the code. I'm pointing at my microphone with my fingers, and Kat is joining me now. She's doing a whole little choreography with her fingers alternating. I'm doing little circles now with my pointer.
Right, we can do a little.
Oh my gosh. So those of you who are logged on to YouTube get to have this, and the rest of you guys have to go find the YouTube of this one because we're just doing a whole. Now my hand's cramping. I'll stop. Either way, she's still going. That's because you do all of that aerial work and your hands are very strong. The website is www.vixendeville.com/, what is that, what do we call that?
Slash.
The slash? Is
Yeah.
that the slash?
Yeah.
Yeah, the crooked line. I'm trying to do that with my hand for those of you who are listening. It's really weird type of Jenny dance right now on the screen. Revealing. REVEALING, and then a little slash. We're now revealing and doing peekaboo at you. Oh my goodness. This will give you that free class, and more importantly, the PDF, because some of us don't really want to watch a video at first until you decide if you're worth it. I'm just telling you, all of it is worth it. You should be taking everything with Cat. And some of you, I'll be like, I don't know. So go download that PDF, all right? And then it'll give you access to the course, which will be super fun. And why would you not want to have more access to Cat? I don't know.
And the fun is the name of the game. It's 100% what you said. Fun. If you're not having fun, what's the point? That's what all of our entire life is about having fun and feeling good. When you're lying in the sun, you're like, oh, the sun is beautiful and hot and lovely. And then you get too overheated and you're like, okay, I'm going to go in the pool now and cool off. Oh, this pool water is great. Oh, I'm a bit cold now. I'm going to go in the sun. You're literally just, what does my body want to feel right now? And let me seek enjoyment and pleasure and fun. And that's the name of the game of life, is just start having more fun. And this really does burlesque really injected more fun in my life. I took myself far too seriously for far too long. And burlesque is really like exploring fun, being a kid again, being in that playground, in the sand pit.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And here's the thing. I talk a lot about how I have clients who have said to me, but I've not had any trauma. Like, I had a great childhood. And my thing is, first of all, we all just survived a global panini. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the level playing field for everyone. And a lot of people have forgotten they have the right to feel free. You have the right to play. You have earned the right. And, some people are just like, well, no, because being a breast cancer survivor, I understand this whole survivor guilt. Oh, we're given a second chance at life and we're really focused on making the most of it. I'm sorry. Part of that is to play. That generates good vibes in the world. Does it not, Kat? I think it's really important to acknowledge that.
Oh, absolutely. I think the more that you allow yourself to play, the more you then give other people permission to play. And a huge part of what I say to my students is, yeah, you're doing this burlesque training and creating this act and performing for you to open yourself up and to rediscover who you are and add play to your life. But then when you perform on that stage and the audience sees you, they sit in that seat and they look at you and go, wow, how open and playful and fun this person is. I want to be that person. Just like when I sat in the audience of the Burlesque show and I was like, oh, that's what I want in my life. And now you can be the commercial for that. You can be the representation of that and help other people to be like, oh, I'm allowed to play too. I'm allowed to be open too.
Oh, I love that. And I am going to make sure we're understanding everyone listening. Kat's talking about a stage performance, and we're going to ask you to reference that to being the stage of life.
Yeah.
Everywhere you are, people are watching you. And when we come from a place of service, meaning I do HOPE, help one person every day or every moment you get, because ultimately, if you are whole in yourself and you're acting a certain way that someone sees you and like them and you're giving other people permission to be whole in themselves. And that's super important.
Wow.
Cat, thank you so much. Was there one more thing you wanted to talk about before?
No, it just came in my head about, I was thinking of Pretty Woman when she goes to dinner and she feels really out of her comfort zone and she's all dressed up and the snails come to the thing and she's trying to play with the snails thing and I just think of any situation, because you're saying about the stage of life, right? In that situation, other people could make her feel less than, like, you don't belong here, you haven't had the right education, you're a fool, you don't know what you're doing. And the older guy next to her just picks it up with his fingers and goes, I never knew how to use those anyway. And because he was able and confident and whole in himself to be like, I can use my fingers in this very upscale restaurant. She sees him and goes, oh, cool, I'll do that too. And it is that. So living by example, yeah, you walk out your front door, you're on stage, you walk into a job interview, you walk into a first date, you walk into a room with other humans in it, and you're on the stage with an audience. And yeah, being able to just be like, hey, it's cool. Like, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to be open. I'm going to play by my rules. And I allow other people to do that too. So it just...
Yes, isn't that lovely? I love that. I'm going to be like, we got to go and eat some escargot now.
Right.
You know, right. And so I want to end on one thing to our wonderful audience. And here's the thing. Remember something. And we talk about this a lot in NLP, which is perception is projection. Right. So the more you see the world as a playing field, a playground, the more it becomes a playground.
Yeah.
So we're going to end on that, Cat. We're going to have you come back.
Yes,
right?
please.
Yay. To have other gifts. So thank you so much for coming, Cat, and audience. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?